All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WPI information session. My name is Emily Bucco, and I'm one of the counselors that works here in the admissions office. And I'm looking forward to sharing some information with you about WPI, how we work, who we are, and what we offer. Before we get started, I'm going to have my co-presenter introduce himself to you as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vijay. I'm a senior here at WPI studying interactive media and game development with a minor in data science. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, with the Deep Just Pizza and the Bean. And outside of working in admissions here on campus, I'm the esports club treasurer as well as involved in Greek life.
Awesome. All right. So with that, we are going to get started. As you can see right now, these are kind of the different points we're going to cover in the next 40 minutes or so. We're going to talk to you about the WPI plan, what that is, what it means, how we deliver our academic curriculum to our students. We're also going to talk to you about campus resources and student life. And of course, we're going to wrap up the session by talking to you about our admissions and financial aid process. So all that said, as I said before, WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, is who we are. Everyone knows us for WPI for short. We are a STEM institution. Typically, if you are looking at WPI, you are likely a student thinking about taking something in science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. We have well over 50 different degree program offerings here at WPI, so lots of different things to choose from. You can see right here on the screen, some of our more popular options certainly include areas of engineering, life sciences, business, computer science, and also even the humanities and arts, which actually happens to be the biggest program that we do have here, the department we have here on campus because of the way we satisfy that requirement, but I'll let Vijay talk about that in just a moment. In terms of engineering, there's 14 varieties of engineering. So if a student is 100% sure which direction they want to go, there's plenty of opportunity for them to explore. Maybe you're a student who's thinking about something in biology, for example. Okay, well, there's about 8 varieties of biology for you to choose from. We really want and encourage our students to do some exploration. You don't have to know what you want to do when you come to WPI. In fact, at WPI, we admit you to the institution, not to a specific program. So at WPI, any WPI student who comes can pursue any WPI program they want. You'll see here that about 20% of our students do actually come to WPI undecided. They're not 100% sure what direction they want to pursue, and that's okay. We have a lot of offerings for our students. Within the 4 years, as an undergraduate institution, we have somewhere around 5,000 students undergraduate. We have graduate programs, we have PhD programs, but certainly most commonly are undergraduate degrees. A lot of our students, of course, choose one major. Some students will select 2, or certainly a minor or concentration is very common as well, depending on what the student's interests are. Within that 4 years that you're here as an undergraduate, there's a lot of opportunity to pursue internship opportunities, perhaps a co-op. Both of those can be paid options. Maybe you're going to study abroad. We build that into those 4 years as well, and you're going to see how that rolls out. We really encourage our students to do a lot within the 4 years that they're here. That also could include staying on and doing a master's program as a 5th year. So some of our students will pursue that BS-MS option, so the BS in 4, and maybe you stay on for a 5th year MS. Those are great things too. You don't have to know that you want to do that. Just know that there's a lot of opportunity for our students to pursue those programs when they're here. Something else I like to highlight about WPI that some people don't know is just our retention rate. So when you talk about retention rate, you're thinking about the first year students and what percentage of them come back for that second year. And at WPI, we're about 95% on that return, which is wonderful. And I think that speaks volumes to the new student orientation program we have here, where our students really get hooked into the community, and then we find that they stay. When you move onto campus right off the bat, you are assigned to basically 3 people. For example, one of those individuals is your resident assistant who's living with you in the residence halls and kind of helping you adapt and navigate to living on campus. The second is what we call a community advisor. Think of it as an upperclassman student, almost like an orientation leader, who's really helping you kind of find your way, get oriented and acclimated to campus, how to find your classes, how to find the dining hall, how to get involved. And then thirdly, you have a faculty advisor who's really helping you pick and choose coursework and navigate what that course selection process looks like. And these are just 3 individuals out of many that really connect with our students right away when they join campus. And I think when students get here and get hooked into something that they're interested in, we find that they stay, which is a wonderful thing. You'll see up here too, as I mentioned, about 5,000 students undergraduate, about a 13-to-1 student to faculty ratio, which is great. And obviously, we do have some fantastic facilities on campus. Certainly in the virtual info session, you won't be able to see them, but we do offer plenty of options for virtual tours that you can actually see our facilities here on campus as well. All that said, I'm actually going to turn things over to VJ to talk to you about the WPI plan.
Thanks so much, Emily. So to give everyone a brief history lesson about WPI, about 50 years ago in 1972, the WPI faculty and administration came together to reevaluate how we do education and learning as a whole. We found a few areas that we believe we can improve on, and this all comes back to the scientific method. So WPI is a STEM-based institution, and so the scientific method is something that's very prevalent in our lives every day. And part of that method is that everything can be iterated upon to improve it just a little bit further. So there's a few parts of our education that we made very unique to cater to our students and try to give them the best chance of success post-college. The very first thing we do a little bit uniquely is our academic calendar. So unlike most colleges, WPI does not operate on the traditional semester system. We have terms. So we have 4 terms throughout the academic year, and there are 7 weeks in each term. We have A term, B term, C term, and D term, which you can see are marked on this slide as well. Now, in each term, you're taking 3 academic classes, so you're still taking around 6 classes per that semester period, and these classes are unabridged, so it means that we cover the same amount of content in 7 weeks that you would in 14 to 15 weeks at another university or institution. Now, that to me always sounds like a lot. The way I like to break it down to make a little more sense is that we're just narrowing the scope of what you're studying and broadening the depth. You're still getting the same amount of hours of work per week as you would at any other college or university, but instead we're allowing you to really focus in on those 3 classes at a time and really take a deep dive into those topics, not to juggle everything all at once. The other really cool part about the term system is that we line up very nicely with other traditional breaks. So we still have your traditional fall, spring, and winter break. Our fall and spring break are around 7 to 10 days long, and our winter breaks around 3 to 4 weeks long. So the only difference is we like to call these breaks true breaks because during this time, your last term will have ended, your next term will not yet have started. So you actually have no academic workload during this time. You're not studying for tests, you're not preparing for exams, you're not doing any homework over this period. You can truly take it entirely off. And if you want to travel the world a little bit, if you want to go home, I know that sometimes I'll catch up on 7 weeks of dirty laundry during this time. We can really do whatever you need to during this time to make yourself ready for that next term to come. E-term is our optional summer term as well. So you have the option to take classes if you like. So if you're working on a dual major, bachelor and master's in 4 or 5 years, or you just want to take advantage of some classes over the summer period when you have less to do, that's a great time to do it. We offer most of these courses online or virtually or asynchronously. So that means that a lot of our students can also take advantage of this even if they're not right here on campus. E-term's also an amazing time for our students to get some professional development experience before they even leave college. A lot of our students choose to participate in internships or co-ops. And while these aren't mandated by the school to graduate, they're a great way to get some professional experience before you even graduate from WPI. And we have a number of resources that we'll talk about a little bit later to help you find those experiences. The second thing that WPI does a little bit uniquely is our non-punitive grading policy. Now, I know when I was studying for the SATs, punitive was not a word that came up for me, but just so you guys know, punitive means to punish, and so we have a non-punishing grading policy. What that means here at WPI is twofold. The very first thing is you'll notice on that part of the slide, there is no pluses or minuses. We only have the A, the B, the C, and the NR. The reason for this is that we are a very collaborative institution. We want to foster that kind of sense of collaboration between our students. We found as we were doing our research into the WPI plan that as you're working on projects, it's kind of counterintuitive to have our students competing for that 98, the 99, the 100 to try and get the best grade in the class. It's counterintuitive to that idea of project-based learning where you're working in teams and trying to work together to create the best successful outcome. So by removing those pluses or minuses, we foster an air of collaborative nature here at WPI and allow our students to work together in these projects, working towards the best outcome possible and just believing that the grade's going to follow that result as well. The NR is the other unique part of this grading policy. So you see the A, the B, and the C are pretty standard to most grading scales across the country, but the NR stands for no record. And what this means for our students is that you don't receive a passing grade in your class, you'll receive an NR. And this for you is going to look like it's not going to appear on your academic transcript. It's not going to affect your GPA. And it'll be kind of like you never took the class at all. The only people that you know took that class will be yourself and the professor who taught it. Now, this again goes back to the scientific method, where part of that method is learning through failure. We believe that, you should be allowed to experiment and learn from those failures that occur that are bound to happen every once in a while. We do it in science, but we believe it should be the same for your education as well. So if you do end up having a situation where you're struggling in a class, you shouldn't be punished for failing from that, but instead given the opportunity to learn and grow from that experience as well. This also works great with our flexible curriculum here at WPI. So for all the courses across our campus, we actually have no hard prerequisites. We trust our students to choose the classes that they want to take and are really passionate about. And by doing so, we also have recommended backgrounds. So this is just information we think you should have going into the course to be successful in it, but we do not mandate that you have it ahead of time. The reason for this is that we live in this really cool age of the internet where our students, when they're really passionate about something, can go and learn that topic online or elsewhere if they'd like. So they don't have to learn it in that classroom, but this allows them to take control of their education and take the classes that they truly are interested in and want to be taking here at WPI. It also works great with our non-punitive grading policy and specifically with the NR, where if you do end up signing up for a class that you feel very confident in at the beginning of the year, maybe you get about halfway through the term and you realize, oh, I'm missing a lot of really key knowledge. I need to go back to the drawing board, learn some more, and then come back to this class later point. You're not punished for trying something a little harder, for getting outside your comfort zone, but instead given the opportunity to learn and grow from it as well. Now, this is kind of like the base of the WPI plan, but the part that I like the most is the project-based curriculum. So almost every single class you take across campus is going to have two components to it. It's going to have a theoretical component that's in lecture, where you're learning all the theoretical knowledge you need to be successful in that class. And you're also going to have some practical component, whether it's a lab you're participating in, experiments you're running, if it's projects you're working on, or research you're conducting. You're always taking what you learn in class and then applying it directly in a real world sense as well. We also have 4 larger projects, however, that we allow our students to complete during their time here. One of them is optional and the other 3 are mandatory. So I would start with the optional one, which is also coincidentally the top of the list. So the Great Problem Seminar is the very first project that's of a larger scale that our students are given the opportunity to complete here at WPI. It is unique for a number of reasons, but the very first is that it actually happens over 2 terms. So it's over a full semester. This course is intended to give our students an introduction to college level research, presentations, and projects, and how they kind of work here at WPI in our project-based curriculum. There's a lot of really cool soft skills you get to learn as well as hard skills, and these projects are generally based outside your major. They're instead focusing on some larger problem in the world today, so whether it's clean energy, extinction events, mental health, education, and a whole other variety of topics we keep adding to every year, there always is something new to study that you may be interested in. This is really cool because it gives our students, again, that opportunity to get outside their major and have passions in other areas of life as well. So I know when I was a first year here at WPI, I did end up taking this course, and I did a project based in clean and sustainable energy. It has nothing to do with game development, but it is something I'm very passionate in. So it's cool to have the opportunity to really get in, dive deep into that topic and really study it in depth as well. Now, the way this course works is that usually the first term you're in it, you're going to be doing a broad overview of everything that there is to know about that topic. So the past, the present, and the future. And then in the second term, you're going to be taking a deeper dive into some very specific problem within that wider topic. For my group with clean energy, we dove into the problem of the energy price in Oahu, Hawaii, and how it's 3 times the national average. So that was a great opportunity for us to engage in an intro to college level research and presentations. It also gave us an opportunity to figure out how to do interviews at a college level as well. We interviewed both people from the private sector in the energy department, as well as in the government in Hawaii as well, over Zoom to help get all that data we needed and all the information we needed as well. So the GPS is a great way to introduce our students to that college level research process and project work here at WPI. But again, it is not a mandatory course. So for say, for example, maybe it doesn't fit into your schedule. Maybe there's no courses that are really interesting to you that year. Don't worry, you can pass it up and have that experience in other classes as well to help onboard you into that WPI experience. The next project on the list is Humanities and Arts. Emily said it earlier, but the Humanities and Arts department is actually the largest department here at WPI, and this is with good reason. We do have a Humanities and Arts requirement of 6 courses you need to complete during your time here. Now, if you've been doing the math with me, you're taking 3 courses a term, 4 terms in the academic year, 4 years here at WPI. That's about 48 courses during your entire time here at WPI. So 6 courses at the end of the day isn't that many towards your grand scheme of college. However, it does give you a little bit of a deeper dive into a topic that goes outside of your major, making you a more well-rounded student as you go to graduate from WPI. With that said, while we do have a humanities requirement, we offer you a lot of flexibility in how you fulfill it. So we don't want our students to, come to WPI and, for example, say, oh, I don't want to take an English class anymore, but I'm forced to take it. We want to give our students the flexibility to take the classes that they're truly interested in. So we use the depth and the breadth system. The way that works is that your breadth is going to be 3 classes in any areas of the humanities. So whether that's philosophy, religion, visual arts, music, any of our foreign languages we offer, English, writing, and so many more topics that we add to every single year. There's a ton of variety in what you can pick to study from the humanities department. You'll take those 3 courses as your breadth, and that will form your base. And then you're going to choose one area from those 3 classes and focus in on it, taking 3 more classes in that sequence. That will be what we call your depth. And this is giving you a deeper dive into that area of study, helping you get a greater understanding of it as well. The last course you complete for your depth is going to be your humanities capstone. So this is either a practicum or a seminar course. That's a really fancy way to say a project-based course or a research-based course. But these projects can take on a whole variety of forms, whether you're in the music department and you're reciting a really hard instrument you've been playing for years. If you're doing a visual art depth and maybe you go to the Worcester Art Museum just down the road and curate an art exhibit for the term, or maybe you really want to bring your major into your project. You can even take your major, for example, if you're a robotics major, and make like instruments that play themselves. If you're going more towards the research route, I've had friends who've written papers on a whole variety of topics. One of my favorites was my friend wrote a paper on the Beatles and their rise to fame. So there's a lot of really cool options for our students to complete something, again, a little bit outside their major, but also getting all that research experience in as well. The next project on the list is the IQP, or the Interactive Qualifying Project. It's a project you could do in your junior year here at WPI, but it's unique for a number of reasons. The very first is that usually this project is interdisciplinary by nature. You're not directly working with people in your major, and the focus here is not necessarily developing the hard skills of what you need to do your job after college. Instead, this project is focused on helping you to develop your soft skills and helping you learn how to interact with local communities and help to meet their needs, especially in that client-employee relationship. Now, there's a lot of really unique things about the IQP. I'm actually going to put a pin in that for now. We're going to come back to it in about a minute or two. It's so important, actually, it's its own slide dedicated to it. So we'll come back to that in just a second and move down the list to the MQP. The MQP is the major qualifying project, and it is kind of the inverse of the IQP, where it is here to demonstrate everything you've learned in your classes here, demonstrating all the hard skills you have for your major as well. You do in your senior year, and it lasts about the full year, so it's one consistent thing through the entire time of change. But this project is here to allow our students to really show off everything they've learned, and by the end of it, have some result they can put on their resume as they go to graduate, so that when they go to apply to companies for jobs, they can say, hey, I have all these classes I've taken that say I have these skills, but I also have this project that shows I can also do all of it. We offer a number of ways for our students to complete this MQP. There's a number of research opportunities available to you. You can conduct research projects with companies where they'll provide both funding as well as direction to the project. We have some students who will do research in labs with professors who work here on campus. So they'll help to advance their research year to year, iterating upon projects that have been going on for a number of years as well. Or our students can also choose to make their own research projects. If they have an idea in their head that maybe they didn't have the resources or the teammates yet to really make happen, the MQP is a great time to make that happen as well. So just to give you a few examples of what I've seen for the MQP, I've seen people make swarm robotics projects where they're making lots of little robots work together to achieve larger tasks. In biomedical engineering, I've seen people go on to make biosensors that go on to patent after college as well, making money off of them. In aerospace engineering, I've seen people make plane wings that will shift mid-flight to adjust to be more fuel efficient as well. And in my major specifically, I've seen a whole variety of really, really cool projects, at least to me. Virtual reality has always been a big one, people making mental health tools inside virtual reality. But my team personally is developing a two-player puzzle game that uses no dialogue to tell a big story as well. So there's a lot of really cool opportunities here for our students to really make that experience their own. However, circling back to the IQP, the reason that this project is so unique is we also offer it as a global project. So we offer the opportunity for our students to travel off campus to complete this project and any of our 50 plus product sites around the globe. So there are sites right here on WPI's campus in the greater United States and then 6 of the 7 continents of planet Earth. We haven't quite made it to Antarctica yet, but one day we will party with the penguins, I do promise. But for now, any of those red dots you see on the map is one of our project sites around the globe. So pretty much anywhere you want to go, we have a project site nearby. Now, this project does focus on usually problems outside of your major. The way these usually work is you're helping the local community and helping to meet their needs. And so whether this is a university, a nonprofit organization, if it's a company, if it's a museum or tourist district in the area or any other part of the community, they're coming to WPI and saying, hey, we'd love to have your students help us on this project and assist giving us a new and unique perspective on how to solve it as well. You get to work directly with that sponsor organization, and they're going to be giving you direction on that project and what they'd like to see accomplished as well. This project is also a 3-course equivalent. So if you are abroad during this time, you're not taking any other academic classes. Usually the way it breaks down is more similar to an internship where from 9 to 5, you're Monday through Friday, you're working on your project. And on the weekends and the afternoons, you're free to explore the location you're in. So if that's exploring the city you're in or exploring the greater area, you're more than free to travel around if you'd like as well. For example, just last March to May, I was in Berlin, Germany, and so I was able to travel all over Europe during my time there, really get to make the most of that experience as well. Now, one other thing that WPI likes to recognize is that traveling abroad can be an expensive endeavor, and we want to make sure that the IQP is an affordable and accessible option to all of our students. So as soon as you enroll as a student here at WPI, you get access to the global scholarship, and it's up to $5,000 towards the cost of that IQP if you do choose to go off campus, making sure that's affordable and accessible to everyone. Now, just to give you a few examples of what these projects can look like, my project personally, we're working on a project with urban beekeeping in Berlin and how it's affected by climate change and how you can mitigate that impact as well. But I've seen projects run the gambit of all sorts of walks of life, whether it be in education, if it's in like agricultural districts, if it's in uh, mental health, if it's in tourism, if it's in like patent mapping. I've seen so many different projects around the globe. My friends doing these really cool things with companies. Peace tourism is one that actually really pops up to mind that a friend just did in Greece. So there's some really cool opportunities here to engage in some projects you want to get to otherwise. That's one really cool part about the WPI project-based learning curriculum is that a lot of these projects are very unique by nature. So as you're graduating from WPI, not just the IQP, but your MQP, all the classes you're taking, also have those projects built in. You can put those on your resume, and as you're applying for those jobs that you're looking for after college, or even during college for internships, you can show off all this project experience where you have not just the hard skills to do the job, but also all the soft skills you may need to work in those teams, to manage those outcomes and those goals, and to also just be an efficient team member on those projects you're working on post college. So all these kind of come together to make you a very ideal candidate for jobs after college as well. But to talk more about life post college and professional development, I'm going to pass it back off to Emily.
Awesome. Thanks, VJ. So let's talk about that. So at WPI, we have what we call our Career Development Center, our CDC, and they do some fantastic work with our students. They most notably host 2 large-scale career fairs, one in the fall, one in the spring each year, where over 400 different companies are coming to recruit our WPI students. Now, one question I get a lot when I'm on the road recruiting is, okay, what is the major that these employers are coming to campus to recruit for? What's the specific program? The answer isn't actually a specific major, believe it or not. It's actually the WPI plan that you just heard VJ talk to you about. These employers understand the term system. They know that if they need to ask a student to get something done in 6 or 7 weeks, guess what? Our students have been doing that since their first day in freshman year. They also understand the project system. They know about the MQP and the IQP, as VJ mentioned. They're familiar with these larger scale projects, but more so familiar with the fact that WPI students in just about every class, as VJ said, are doing some form of project, group work, teamwork. So they know at any point in your time at WPI, they can ask you a question and say, tell me about a time you were working on a project and, your obstacle, you hit an obstacle, your outcome changed, you had to pivot, whatever the case may be. They're familiar with that and they're looking for that. They understand the WPI plan and really see it as something that mimics industry. So they really do feel like WPI students are a little more prepared when they jump out into industry. What's great about these career fairs too is a lot of these companies will send WPI alum back to recruit more WPI students because they know it's a great fit. These career fairs are not just for seniors. They're for our first year students all the way on up. Maybe you're looking for an internship or you are curious about a co-op experience. This is where you can get those. And there's a lot of resources. Something else that our CDC does a really wonderful job with is basically putting together all of the career outcomes data. And so they actually create a dashboard that you can find right on our website just by searching for career outcomes. And 6 months post-graduation, they pull all of our graduates, the undergraduates, the graduates, and the PhD students, and they just say, what are you doing? What are you up to? Where are you working? What higher degrees are you seeking and where? And they compile all of this data in a dashboard that's really fun. If you're looking for a rabbit hole to go down, I always recommend this one. For example, it goes back about 5 or 6 years. Certainly the most recent one we have is the class of 2023 data, which you can see some of it here on the screen. And what's great is you can also look in it and you can sort out by major. So for example, maybe VJ wants to look up interactive media and game development and see how many students graduated, where are they working, what are they doing? You can look up by major, by class, you can single things out. If you look individually by major, it will list all of the employers where students have gone to work, or any of the higher degrees they're seeking and where. It's really extensive information. The knowledge rate is important to mention as well. So the response our CDC gets back on this survey is always north of 90%, which is really nice. We really do feel like we have a great handle on what our students are doing and where, which is a wonderful thing. To switch gears just a little bit, we're going to talk to you a little bit about campus life. Another rabbit hole to go down is residence life. Has all of our residence halls posted on our website, so something you can absolutely see if you are exploring things virtually. We do guarantee housing for our first year students here on campus. About 97% of our first year students do live on campus and are looking for that first year experience, which is a wonderful thing. A number of different residence halls, a number of different dining facilities, all of which you can see. One of the things that sometimes people ask is, what about living on campus after your first year? You're certainly welcome to and able to. We are in a particular section of Worcester that allows for a lot of students to move off campus because it's a fairly residential neighborhood. So you definitely see a balance of those who choose to move off, leaves enough space for those who want to stay. So there's a great balance there. Also, there's a lot of support services on campus for our students to be successful. Everything from what you would imagine, health services, a counseling center, accessibility services. Maybe you need academic support. There's all kinds of resources for our students. We have a Center for Wellbeing that actually just focuses on students and faculty and staff's well-being. We take wellness days where there's a day every term where there's no classes, there's no meetings, and we just encourage the community to take a day and take a breath and do something different and engage in an activity that's going to be good for your mental health. So there's a lot of awareness for student success here on campus, and there's plenty of opportunities for students to find those resources as well. However, since VJ is so involved on campus, I'm actually going to let him talk to you about what there is to do on campus and how to get involved.
Yeah, so we've talked so much about, the academics here at WPI, where you're going to live, where you're going to eat, where you're going to sleep. But the really fun part of a lot of colleges is the stuff you do after classes. So here at WPI, we have a number of clubs and organizations all over campus that are all student-run and operated. So it's a great way to get involved and get some leadership opportunities if you'd like. Just to go through a few of them, first of all, we have 20 Division III NCAA teams here on WPI's campus. We have 10 men's and 10 women's. If you're also looking for an athletic experience, we want maybe a little bit less than the varsity commitment level. We have 40 plus club teams here on campus that run the gambit through all sorts of sports, traditional and a little bit more niche as well as intramural leagues that run throughout the year. So intramural leagues are going to be our students playing against each other. You're going to make your own teams, and it's a great way to have something to do on a Tuesday or a Friday night. We do basketball, soccer, volleyball, and flag football. So lots of really cool opportunities for our students there as well. If sports aren't your things, though, don't worry. We have tons of other clubs and organizations here on campus, whether it be professional development clubs, for every single major here on campus, a number of cultural clubs, or a niche interest group. We have so many organizations here on campus for you to choose from. Just to give you a few examples of how much we run the gambit. We have a Lego club here on campus that if you ever get a chance to tour WPI, you'll see a big Lego model of our campus that is to scale. It took them 6 years to build, but they built this whole thing. They sit Lego for 6 hours every Sunday, so they're a really, really cool club to be a part of if you're interested in that. We have 2 cheese clubs on campus. We have one for making cheese and one for eating cheese. I am the esports club treasurer, so I'm obligated to point it out, but esports is a growing thing on a lot of college campuses. It's also really cool because we have our own space here on campus with computers that all of the students here at WPI can use as well to play whatever games they like. And other really cool sport I always like to point out is a sport you probably never heard of. It's called underwater hockey. I like to say it's the most fun sport to play, but the hardest one to watch because you get a little stick and a snorkel and you're on the bottom of the pool pushing a puck around. But as you can see, there's a whole variety of clubs and organizations here on campus. Its only limit is your imagination. And if you want to create a new club here on campus, it's definitely also a possibility. My friend Aiden, his first year here on campus, wanted to create a club around the making, brewing, and history of tea, which is a very niche interest, but he was very, very passionate about it. And so he found 6 or 7 of his friends. They actually founded the club that year, and it was all set up in about a month. To this day, it is now one of the largest clubs here on campus with over 200 members coming up to every single one of their meetings, drinking some tea together and learning more about the history of it as well. So anything you're interested in, you can always make that club here on campus as well. That's a lot about what to do here on campus, though. I'll pass it back up to Emily to talk about what to do in the greater city of Worcester.
Awesome. Thank you, VJ. Yeah, there really is something for everyone. So let's talk about Worcester for a minute, just because it's in our name. It's where we are. It's who we are. I like this slide because it kind of shows you in the center of the slide, those brick buildings. That's the campus. That's where we are. That's where we sit in Worcester. We're on one of 7 hills in the city of Worcester. We are the second largest city in New England. We do share the city of Worcester with a number of area colleges, which works out well for our students. But what you can see here is we kind of are in a residential section of Worcester, and you can see the downtown right there in the background. So we are blocks away from downtown. We sit on a campus that's not gated, but there's no city street that runs through our campus either. So our students like to think that it really is the best of both worlds, where you have access to the city, but then you kind of come back to the campus and it has a very traditional campus feel, which is a wonderful thing. Because we do share it with so many colleges around the city of Worcester, there's always college students are out and about, which is great. One of the things I always recommend, if you are able to come visit us here on campus, ask our students, What are our favorite things to do in Worcester? There's so much to do, from the Worcester Art Museum a couple blocks down the street to the Hanover Theater that brings in shows, to Polar Park where the Worcester Red Sox play, to the DCU Center, which is always bringing in concerts and conventions. The list goes on and on. I think the most favorite thing that all of our students and staff enjoy doing the most is going out to eat. So we always love to make restaurant recommendations too, if you ever make your way out here. In terms of location, though, Worcester's pretty centrally located, especially in Massachusetts, but also within New England. We're about an hour outside of Boston, an hour outside of Providence, Rhode Island, and an hour outside of Hartford, Connecticut. We do have a Worcester Regional Airport that's about 15 minutes away, and we're less than a mile away from Union Station, which is downtown Worcester, bus and train transportation hub as well. So very accessible and lots to do. All that said, we just want to take a few minutes here towards the end of our presentation to talk to you about the application process here in the admissions office. I will tell you all of this information can also be found on our website, so definitely feel free to check there as well, or just go back and listen to this recording again. To talk to you about the deadlines, I'm going to start there. You'll notice, at least for first year students, we have both early decision and early action. So the first thing I like to do is talk to students about what the difference between those two are. Early decision, remember, is a binding agreement, whereas early action is non-binding. So what does that mean? If you decide to apply early decision to WPI, perhaps you are a student who has academically fallen in love with what we have to offer. Socially, you have found your people, you're eager to get involved. And financially, you know absolutely 100% you are going to make it happen. You're going to come to WPI if you're admitted. You may want to apply early decision. If you apply early decision and you're accepted, the binding agreement says you are joining us that fall, and we're super excited to have you. Early action non-binding allows the student who may love the academics here at WPI, have found a major or two that they're interested in pursuing. Socially, you have met some people that have similar interests as you, and you're really eager to get involved. But maybe financially, you want to shop around. You want to see all the other colleges that you're going to get admissions to and kind of cross-compare financial packages, merit scholarships, so on and so forth. Early action allows you to do that shopping around, if you will. You get admitted early action, you have until May 1 to let us know what you want to do. So that's the biggest difference between early decision and early action. Just remember binding versus non-binding. We do have, as you can see, 2 different rounds of both. So it looks like we have a lot of deadlines. We really don't. But we also offer a regular decision as well, which is also non-binding. And you can see things are slightly different for our transfer students. Their applications are a little bit different. Those are rolling notifications versus the batch decision releases we do in first year students. But that's good to be aware of all of the different deadlines. And like I said, these are all posted on our website. Now, do we have a preference on application deadline? No, we do not. I will tell you, we received north of 12,500 applications. And this past year, our early action round 1 decision deadline was the most popular, by over 50% of our applicant pool coming in at that deadline. We have a number of different deadlines to make sure you have a number of different options with which to apply. We always advise students to pick the one that makes the most sense for you. I think early action round 1 is popular because it's earlier in the process, gives you a lot of time on the back end to decide what you want to do and to shop around, and it's non-binding. So you have that time to shop around. So pick the one that makes the most sense for you. In terms of the application, certainly for the first year process anyways, we are part of the common application, and also we are on the coalition application. On both of these applications, we are going to learn about you and your personal context. They both include an essay. We are going to hear in that essay your personality. We're going to learn something about you that we haven't figured out any other place in this application, something that's been impactful to you, something that's influenced your life, something you're passionate about. Don't overthink it. Just be authentic and let us hear your voice and your personality through this essay. The other thing you can do on your Common App or Coalition app is tell us what you do outside of school, right? So we know you go to class. We assume you sleep. We don't know what you do in between, right? So hopefully, maybe you have a part-time job. Maybe you work 20 hours a week and you're unable to get involved with clubs or activities. Maybe you play sports, or you volunteer, or you have, you sing, or you dance, or you travel. Maybe you have family responsibilities. Maybe you're responsible for care of a younger sibling or an older grandparent. There's a lot of things that our students are involved with or have on their plate. And the purpose of this is just to let us know what makes up your day-to-day. We're not interested in quantity. How long is that list? We really want to just know the quality of how you spend your time outside of school, because we know every student is busy in very different ways. The second thing we're going to look at is your high school transcript. Of course, think of this as your academic context. It's really important to us to take into consideration the context of you within your high school, right? The context of your high school. Everybody goes to different high schools. Maybe you go to a public high school, a private high school, a voc tech. Maybe you're homeschooled. Maybe you go to an international school. Maybe your high school has 30 AP courses and an international baccalaureate diploma program, or maybe your high school offers 5 honors classes. Every high school is different. So that's why we look at you within the context of your high school. What classes are you taking? What classes do you have access to take? Where are you challenging yourself? And what does that look like for you? Of course, how are you doing, right? We look at all of that information when we're looking at that academic transcript. We don't just look at senior year. We want to look at all 4 years. We want to see your entire academic history, as it were. Maybe you went to one high school for all 4 years. Maybe you went to 4 different high schools in 4 years. Whatever your story is, we're going to learn it through that academic transcript. And the last thing we look at to round out the 3 pieces are the letters of recommendation. So we ask for 2. We want 1 from your school counselor, and we ask for 1 from an academic teacher of your choosing. These letters are important to help us understand almost what I like to say third-party context, right? Somebody who knows you, maybe from the classroom or just as a member of your school community, who can talk to us about who you are and kind of how you exist in that school community environment. Really helpful in terms of helping us fill in some more holes about who you are as a student and as a person. As you can see up here also, there's some information about our transfer application process. The deadlines are slightly different. We do have spring and we do have fall options. We have our own WPI transfer application, and we are, of course, going to ask for any recent college transcripts, of course, your high school transcript, and we also ask for a letter of recommendation. So not all that different from first year, just a few differences. In terms of how we're looking at these applications, remember that it's a holistic review. Those are the 3 elements I mentioned, like the application, the transcript, and letters of rec. That's really where we spend our time. You'll notice on the last slide, we're test blind, we don't look at test scores, and we don't have an application fee. So we really are honing in on those other 3 sections of the application. Obviously, it's important to us that you can be academically successful here at WPI. One thing we do have to be a little particular about is your math prep. At WPI, the lowest math that we offer is Calculus 1. So we want to make sure all of our students can come on in and jump into Calculus 1, if not place out of it and go ahead. The best way to do that, if you're a high school student, is to make sure you have completed through pre-calculus by the time you graduate from high school. I know every high school calls pre-calculus something different, but just make sure you've satisfied pre-calculus. If you took that class as a sophomore or a junior in high school and you moved on to calculus or AP Calc in your junior or senior year, that's great, not to worry. That's the one thing we have to be particular about. We love to see a lot of math and science on your transcript, but remember, we're looking at all 4 years, all grades, all courses are important to us to see how you're doing. We also note in some average GPAs in there for first year and for transfer students, so take it with a grain of salt. Remember, with first year students, we are not recalculating your academic GPA. We are taking what your high school gives us. So that also is another reason why context of high school is important. Some high schools will give us weighted, some high schools give us unweighted, some high schools give us neither, some high schools give us both. Some high schools don't operate on a 4.0 scale, a 7.0, a 21.0, we've seen it all. Please know that we are going to look at you within that context and understand exactly where you fall and how you're doing within the context of your high school. We love to see a lot of A's and B's, but it's also important to us to understand what types of coursework you are taking within the context of your high school. Now, obviously, academics are just one component of it. You heard VJ talk to you about the WPI plan, and it is unique. And there's a lot of pieces to it that we also want to make sure you're okay with. Part of that is group work. We do a lot of group work here at WPI. So we're looking for students who want to be part of a team, who want to problem solve collectively in a group. That's really important. If that's not your style, that is okay. Know that that's what we do here. And maybe that means WPI might not be what you're looking for. And that's okay too. Something else we're looking for are people who are curious and creative and like thinking outside the box. One thing that also is important is when you heard VJ talk to you about the flexible curriculum, you want to be a student who's excited about the flexibility you're going to be afforded here. It is true. We advise, but you decide. You get to decide what courses you're going to take to satisfy your major requirements. And that's a really wonderful thing. Can be a little daunting for some students, but I have found most people interested in WPI are really excited about that opportunity. So we're looking for a lot of different pieces to make sure you can be a strong fit here at WPI. Lastly, let me just touch on scholarship and financial aid. Of course, this is very important. 97% of our students do receive some form of financial assistance, and it can run the gamut from just scholarships, need-based, merit-based aid, all those kinds of things rolled into one. Let me start first with the merit-based scholarships. It's just good to know that all of our applicants, just by applying to WPI, you are automatically considered for merit-based scholarships. There's nothing separate you have to do. If you apply, whether it's early action, early decision, regular decision, if you have received a merit scholarship, it will be right there in your acceptance letter, so you'll know at point of acceptance what you've qualified for, which is great. Those scholarships are renewable for the 4 years that you're here at WPI. The only exception to the merit scholarship rule is if you are a FIRST or VEX robotics student. They offer scholarships as well to students who are involved in those organizations, but there is a separate application process that goes along with it, which you can find on our website. On the need-based side of things, we do also encourage our students, if you're applying for need-based aid, which I always recommend, there's 2 forms. We're going to ask for that FAFSA, that free application for federal student aid. This is going to help us understand what types of federal money you might qualify for. We also ask for the CSS profile. Not every school asks for this. We do. We have additional institutional money we want to try and award out. But before we can do that, we have to make sure we collect a little bit more information from our applicants. So those are the 2 forms we ask our students to fill out if they're thinking about need-based aid. Lots more information about scholarships, both for first year and transfers, if you go to our website. Finally, the one thing I'll leave you with, depending on what grade you are in, know that we offer a lot of summer programs here at WPI. Now, these are by no means a requirement. However, if you are a student who is interested in STEM, wants to learn more, and wants to have an experience on a college campus, WPI, among many other institutions, offers a host of summer programs that you can take advantage of, depending on what grade you're going into. And so this is good information for you to be aware of as well. Again, no requirement, but just a good way to kind of fuel your fire if you really are passionate about something in the STEM area. Okay. I'm looking at the clock and I think that's about it. I don't think VJ and I have anything else we have to make sure we share with you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video and learn a little bit more about WPI. If you have any questions after you're done watching the video, please reach out to us, email our office, call our office. Both the staff and students here are happy to help answer any questions that you have. That said, we hope you consider visiting us soon and have a great day. Thanks so much.